Konnichiwa and welcome everybody back to Chron Reviews. It's time for another Mattel Legacy Collection dinosaur review, and this time it's the extreme chomping Spinosaurus. And I must admit, this is one of the releases I've been looking forward to most. Since I saw the preview pictures of this thing, I've been hyped to get one. And I couldn't contain myself now. There is a lot of Roar Wars from Wave 2 I want to buy and all that, but I feel like, no, sacrifice all that. I need the Spinosaurus now because it's released, it's finally released. And also the Wave 2 assortment have not reached the stores in Sweden yet. The original attack packs, that was the first we got, appeared here like a full month, like 4 weeks after they started to pop up in the United States, and that's pretty slow. So I'm giving it like this month out, like say end of August, to find them in the stores here. If I don't find them, I will order them online because I can't wait too long. I really want a few of them, like the Stygimoloch and stuff. But for that time being, I'm going to enjoy this thing. Why am I hyped for this thing, you ask me? Because, to be honest, Jurassic Park 3 is quite a bad movie. It really is a bad movie. I mean, the CGI works, but they did not really utilize the perfect conditions for it, like the perfect atmosphere, and optimize it to hide the defects in it, like the first two films did. They really knew how to complement each other with CGI and animatronics and the atmosphere to make it work. Jurassic Park 3 was very lacking at that department, but the writing was the most problem. I don't hate Spinosaurus, the design is awesome, and I would not wish it to be different. It feels like a dinosaur in the Jurassic Park franchise, and I really love the design of it. I just don't like how the script performed it. I mean, it should be a little bit more animalistic. Instead of like trashing the T-Rex totally, it would like fight, they both fight equally, and then at the end the Spinosaurus gets the upper hand perhaps, and the T-Rex are forced to retreat, and the Spinosaurus chases it off like, hey, this is my territory, stay away from my territory. That would be more believable. And it would not like stalking the humans the silly way. It should appear more randomly like the T-Rex does in the previous movies. A little bit more realism. That would make it a total different story. So I just wish the movie was written better, like if they used the old script instead of rewriting the script at last minute. But the dinosaur in itself, I love it. And why is this such an awesome figure to have? I do love the T-Rex. I really love the T-Rex, don't get me wrong, I do love the T-Rex. But we see a lot of T-Rex, and the T-Rex deserves it. Don't get me wrong there either. The T-Rex deserves to be the king again. The king of the dinosaurs, or queen, since it's a female T-Rex. But we see the T-Rex everywhere. It's a lot of different awesome versions of the T-Rex, but they're all the same brown. I would like the Lost World and JP3 T-Rex repaints, because a little bit green will break that brown up a bit. But as a variation, we now have another large dinosaur. This is the variation we need. The same with the very highly rumored Indominus. It will be awesome to have as well. I'll get more into that later in the review, because Mattel have announced some really awesome stuff lately. So, what about this Spinosaurus? What makes it so great? The color. The first thing that struck me was that the color is grey. It's not the brown one that Hasbro did for JP3 toy line. This one is grey. And I was worried about the size, since the extreme chomping T-Rex are smaller than the Thrash and Throw. But seeing people own it and post pictures showing that this one is equal to the Thrash and Throw in size, that made up my mind. I need this one. It's no disappointment there. So let's get straight into the box, should we? I have talked enough now. Straight into the box, and then I will open this up because I can't contain myself more now. The box is the Legacy design, of course. You have seen that while I talked all those minutes. It have the try button here, but I'm going to wait until I show you later after opening it up. But the design is the Legacy layout, which is my favorite. It's so gorgeous. It's colorful, it's striking. It's what I wish the normal toys was on the shelf, because it would be a lot nicer. The eye will draw towards this package instead of the more grey metallic ones of the regular lines. And there's a big art of the T-Rex here and the orange logo there, and you can see the Spinosaurus open its mouth here, how the function works. And it says Extreme Chomping Spinosaurus. And on the side there is the logo, and here on the back you can see the Spinosaurus and its chomping action, and there's also the Legacy T-Rex there, and it's also have information for the Jurassic Facts app, so it have one of those stamps as well. And on the side you can see the logo here and the blue night sky, and it also have some neat jungle there. There's a continuation of the T-Rex artwork. So this, I must say, this is so beautifully contrasted in color. I really love those packages. I really need to get a few of those to keep in the package as well. At least a few of the smaller ones. But this one will get opened up right now. Alright, here we have it. The Spinosaurus out of the package, standing on my table. And I absolutely love this thing. I mean, it's gorgeous. It looks great. And while there are a few flaws, I will get into them very shortly. Overall, this figure delivers greatly. And there's one specific point I will also get into with the paint job that is great. So without further ado, let's first off get the Jurassic Facts app out of the way. So here we have the Jurassic Facts app code underneath the feet. And on the other feet there is the Jurassic World symbol that shows this is a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World related project. So what can I say about this figure? The articulation, it's what you expect from Mattel right now. They have these points of articulation on most of the figures, like the tail, legs and arms. But the neck have a little bit more. But first off, the tail is ball jointed like this. But mine is pretty loose. You have to snap it on, click it in, it's quite easy. But mine is loose. A little bit disappointing about that, because you want to pose it like this and not like this. I'm not sure if everyone got loose one, so if you don't, please note in the comments, because I want to see how common this is. But if you turn the tail slightly like this, it will stay, but then the red will not line up. And one of the legs are slightly loose, but the legs can move outwards. This leg is not loose, but it do not affect the balance, because it stands really nicely without it, even with this leg loose, because it will push out and stay flat. The feet will stay flat. Anyway, so that's no big deal. And the fin, it's slightly soft, as well as the tip of the tail, but not this part of the tail. So maybe it should be tighter here and this one should be softer, like on the T-Rexes. It would be better bend. And the feet can also rotate for balancing, but you barely need it. You need it more on the Fresh and Throw T-Rex, because it have the electronics, which gives it more weight towards the front. The arms, they are ball jointed, so you can have like those poses with it, gripping with the arms, or the arms more further apart. And the most awesome articulation point on this figure is the head. The neck have 2 points of articulation, so you can go like this and this and this. So you can have it head lower or higher up like this. There are a lot of possibilities, and you really get the feel of the Spinosaurus when doing this. And I really love that. I mean, the Fresh and Throw do not have that opposable neck, but the Legacy T-Rex have, as far as I know. But I think this joint is smoother than the T-Rex have. I still don't have the T-Rex. I'm still considering if I should or not should, because I already have the Colossal and the Fresh and Fro. But I'm considering it because it's Rexy without the scars. And then lastly, with the articulation points, is the action feature, which is that the mouth can open. So basically you push this button and the jaw opens. And the tongue is loose instead of stuck in this position as the T-Rex had. It makes it more realistic because the tongue moves because of the action's force, but it falls back down, so it gives a little bit of dynamic look to it. So you can snap down on things and bite humans and shake them manually, but it's still a quite nice action feature, and it's easy to use and it works great. Now on to the paint job. The paint job on this figure is grey as a base, and compared to the Hasbro Spinosaurus that was always brown. Why were they brown? It's very clear in the movie that the Spinosaurus was grey with red and white textures, and this one is exactly that. It's grey with white and red textures, and it have the stripe going down here just like in the movie. I just wish it transitioned slightly onto the head to not make it too sharp here, but that's not the biggest deal. The same goes here. The red should have continued down slightly here instead of ending like in a line like that, but otherwise it's fine. It have a brighter underbelly, so they have like 3 colors, grey, white and red, but they utilize them on a lot of different parts. And there's also lighter grey stripes like on the leg to not make it too grey only. And the white actually continues under the tail, and this red stripe continues onto the tail from the sail over here. There's a white stripe there. It makes it a lot more complete. The paint job is not like ending at the joint, they fulfill it. That makes this an improvement over the T-Rexes because they do that. And the red on the head is very neatly done. The eye is beautifully painted, barely no spillage. It's really clean and shiny. It really gives off the great feel of this Spinosaurus. And the teeth, the only thing about teeth is there's a little shipping of red here, but that's about only part that's not perfect. The slightly shiny on the tongue and inside the mouth, just like the T-Rex had, make it a realistic look. It's the same quality on this side. It gives off a nice feel of quality on this Spinosaurus. And also the toenails are painted black. And now, hold on to your butts, the fingernails, they are painted, and that's about my biggest amazement, except for all the other good points, that the fingernails are painted. I'm not sure if this is part of a new era for Mattel, or if they just felt like it has such big claws on its arms, we need to paint them because fans will complain. Or if it's the fans' feedback that have made them decide to start painting fingernails from now on. I'm not sure. But it really gives this a huge thumbs up over the others because of that simple fact that it have painted fingernails. And it gives me at least a little hope that maybe Mattel continues on that line for at least the bigger dinosaurs. And the proportions for this and the feel of this, it really screams the Spinosaurus. It's no question, this is the Spinosaurus. My only complaint of the sculpture itself is that it should maybe have had slightly longer tail and slightly thicker tail at the base here. Just like with Allosaurus have the same issue, but Mattel have slightly short tails on some of the dinosaurs. But not even Kenner fully nailed it at all the times. Every toy line have slight flaws, except for the Jurassic World one, which had only flaws. But it really, it's not something you can like hang them for, because the rest of it is so good. And this really, the only thing it lacks is the sound. It might have costed slightly more, but I would pay that for the sound. It should have like a roaring sound when you do this, perhaps. And unlike the rotivores, it have the mouth closed instead of opened as default. It would be weird if it like was this all the time, then you press the button, it went down. It's better like this. And it's really neat. You can like play with it, attacking the plane, or attacking Cooper before the plane arrives, and like snap him, and then the plane crashes. And you can do a lot of this. It's like the Indominus when it charges towards the mercenary. It's awesome. You can do so much with this figure. And maybe it should have had a very silly but hidden sound feature. Hold on to your butts again. If you put it into the woods, like standing there stalking, and then you press the button, yeah, the silly phone sounds. It's a very silly, it's a ridiculous scene. It's just so weird and stupid, but it would be such a ridiculously fun sound feature to have that damn Paul Kirby's company's, whatever its name was, plus something phone call sound from within its stomach. It would be so hilarious to have that sound feature. I sort of wish they did, because it would be so stupidly hilarious. But all in all, except the sound and the proportions on the tail, and that mine got a loose tail, of course, except for that, it's a beautiful figure. It's a great sculpture. So without further ado, let's compare this thing to some other stuff. Starting simple, we are comparing this Spinosaurus. I'm not sure if it's a her or a he. It's speculated that it is a he, but never mind that. Dr. Grant looks awesomely in line with scale here, and the Kenneth Grant looks slightly too big towards Spino, but maybe closer to the scientific size of the dinosaur. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks way better with this Dr. Grant, simply because the Spino was really big in the movie. And going further, we are also going to put in blue. And it lines up pretty well. I really wish there were some JP3 Raptors. I know there is one coming, but it's one with jumping action and the really big feet. I'm not sure yet if I want to get one of those with the big feet, because it puts me off somehow. I really liked my friend's version of blue with the big feet. He brought it here, or rather he bought it when he was at my place, because we visited the toy store and bought stuff. But it was okay, it looked good. That's what made me want this one, because I wanted one with the better paint job as well compared to the Tac Pack. But this one had better feet, so I choose this one. So I will decide. Time will tell if I buy it or not. But they look good together with Spino. And next up is the Spinosaurid cousin, the Baryonyx, and it's quite small compared. The Spino really towers over it. And you really see how much better it would look if it was closed the mouth permanently. But yeah, it looks good together with the Spinosaurus. It's nice to see more Spinosaurid dinosaurs in the franchise, and the Baryonyx is a classic that have been off screen for way too long. And next up, since I don't have the Suchomimus, I did however decide that yes, I will get a Suchomimus. After deciding back and forth if I like it or not, I do actually like it after seeing it having a less bright blue and more mustard yellow instead of bright yellow. It made me like it more, so I decided to have all 3 Spinosaurids, so I will get Suchomimus in time. But for now, the Contours will have to replace it for the scaling. And Carnotaurus actually feels slightly smaller compared to the Spino, compared to the T-Rex. So without further ado, let's get into the T-Rexes. So let's place the Spino here. And then we have the T-Rex. So here we have the Thrash and Throw T-Rex together with Spinosaurus. And yes, they size up pretty nicely together. So you can see that the T-Rex actually have, the back is slightly lower. So the Spino have a bit higher back. The legs are actually taller. It have longer legs. The skull is more narrow, but it's the same length roughly. And this T-Rex is slightly bigger than the Extreme Chompin Legacy T-Rex. Not by much, but a little bit. And I can live with that, even though it's the same T-Rex, it should be the same size, because it was already fully grown in Jurassic Park. But I give it credit for differenting the sculpture slightly. Here it have the scars, but the Legacy one do not have the scars, so it's the Jurassic Park version of Rexy. And the feet are about the same size, and in general, the Spinosaurus actually have a slightly more massive body. It's thicker than the T-Rex body, at least at the front. And it gives a great feel that the Spinosaurus is slightly more massive, but they are still pretty equal. And well, I ignore the facts in Jurassic Park 3 that they were not equal, because I still go by the fan theory that the one in Jurassic Park 3 was a slightly younger and inexperienced T-Rex. It's not an excuse for how they wrote the scene in the film, but it's still a way to ease down the hate slightly. And I really wish that they did a paint job of a green T-Rex as a variation of all the brown Rexes released. And as I said, the Spinosaurus is so great because it gives a very much needed variation from all those brown T-Rexes. The T-Rex deserves attention and being the king slash queen again in the franchise, but it's still desirable with variation. We need those other big dinosaurs. And as a final compare before going into more details on future releases, here is the red T-Rex, and it is slightly taller, just slightly. So this one lines up pretty well with those, but not in the fact that it should be slightly bigger. I'm not sure on the Hasbro one because I don't have it. And by that I mean not Jurassic World one, I mean the Jurassic Park 3 toy line with the rubber skin, the animatronic one. I want one of those, but it's no priority. But it still lines up pretty well with T-Rex. It's not overly small compared, and it works together. And what gets me hyped is that this is just the beginning of a lot of new things from Mattel, because they have sort of already confirmed, and there've been a lot of rumors about it, about an Indominus Rex. I don't care if the Indominus are a Extreme Chomping like this one, with just a soundless thing like this, or if it has sound features, if it is a Thrash and Throw series, or whatever. This Spino proved to me that we can trust Mattel. We don't need to worry. There are no worries that the Indominus will be smaller than the T-Rex. It will be at least the same size, like this one, or slightly bigger, like this one. I mean, there are no need to worry. They will deliver. I'm just hyped that we will get a good Indominus Rex. It's amazing to see what they put out. They announced 16 new species on the toy fair, and it's amazing. I mean, they announced a Brachiosaurus. It's a dinosaur that have not got a full-size figure ever. It had a juvenile packed together with Tim Murphy in the Kenner line from Jurassic Park 1, the first film, and it had a react attack figure with the Jurassic Park 3 toy line, and it was like not in scale. It was way too small, so it could be a really young Brachiosaurus. But now they have announced a full-sized Brachiosaurus, and God knows what it will feature. I mean, I would be happy enough to get one just because it's a Brachio. A full-size sauropod is the first time in Jurassic toy history we're getting that, and except for the plushie, but that one I don't count it. It's back in the Kenner days, but I don't count it as a toy in the same way, so I don't count that towards having one. And we get a full-size sauropod. They also announced a Styracosaurus and a lot of other things. Spinosaurus. They announced a lot of species that they are going nuts on, both classic species, movie canon species, and species seen in the game, like the Herrerasaurus and the other new species. Every toy line always used to have a few unique species not featured in the film to spice it up, and that's great. But Mattel is really going way out of control with this. They're really fleshing out this line so nicely. We could get, in the end, it feels like we are almost able to get almost every dinosaur featured in all the media from Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, and it feels so great. It's a childhood dream to have such a complete collection, and we have the chance to have that now. Both adult collectors and kids alike. They are filling up what we want, and that's great. I really hope they fill up more humans as well. See, like Legacy Collection, John Hammond, a few from The Lost World maybe, Dennis Nedry, Roland Tembo. There are a lot of characters I'd like to have. I mean, characters like this in the same scale together. You can do a lot of mashups, you can do cool displays from the movies, and I hope they do more vehicles as well, like the RV from The Lost World. And there are so many possibilities to please both fans, new and old, and that's great. This Spinosaurus really proves to me that Mattel can be trusted to deliver. Maybe we will not get exactly everything. We should not like assume that they will do exactly everything, but it really feels like they are doing research. They are really thinking ahead. They are really trying to do something nice here, and I really appreciate that. And as to conclude this review, this Spinosaurus is awesome, and I highly recommend it if you want a variation from the T-Rex. If you like the Spinosaurus in general, or maybe even if you like Jurassic Park 3, I don't hate it, but I don't like it either. It's an okay film. I accept it in the franchise, but I still wish it was better. As for the Spinosaurus itself, it's an awesome dinosaur. It's a cool design. I don't hate the dinosaur, I just hate the poor writing in the script. And until next time, I hope you consider getting one, because I highly recommend it. It really lines up great with the rest of the line, and it gives hope for the future. So until next time, take care and sayonara!